The Lead. Sponsored by Hospital Discount Pharmacy, Lavish Boutique, Lavish Coffee, Jasper Veterinary Clinic, Jasper Bone and Joint, and Carl Cannon Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Greg Tinker for The Lead, and I am honored today to have Coach Billy Connor, the new head basketball coach at Bevill State. Coach Connor, you spent a long time across the river at Corner, but you're the Bevill State coach now. Talk to us about how that happened.
Well, I decided to retire. I got two identical twin grandbaby girls, 18 months old. My wife keeps them every day, and thought after 33 years it was time just to spend some time with grandbabies and help her with the kids. And then shortly after that, got a call about the Bevill job, and so, dealing with Chris Harris and Dr. Haygood, we kind of worked out where it's kind of a part-time job, but it's turned out to be a full-time job.
There's no such thing, as we know in ministry or coaching, no such thing as part-time, right?
No. Still learning.
Sure.
Asked me, what I knew about the shot clock and what I knew about coaching college basketball, and I said I don't know anything about either one of those.
Right.
But the bottom of the day, end of the day, you still got to put that round thing. You got to put that ball through that round thing. And,
sure.
We'll adjust to that as we go.
Sure. Well, you're a Walker County boy, as you say. Dora High School. So you played all three sports there, and then had a chance to play some college ball. So just give us a little bit of a rundown, high school, college, and then I'm going to ask you a question about your Montevallo days.
Well, I played, like I said, I played mainly basketball and baseball at Dora, and then signed a baseball scholarship with Wallace State. While I'm at Wallace State, just playing pickup games with some of the basketball players, the coach asked me, did I want to walk on? So actually, I played basketball and baseball for 1 year at Wallace State. Enjoyed my time there, and then transferred to Montevallo to play baseball back when Montevallo was NAIA for Coach Reisner.
Yeah, so you mentioned Coach Reisner, and for those who are our age, around 60 years of age and older, and maybe a little younger too, because Coach Reisner was there for a long time, he was, let's just say, old school, and maybe old school. So thinking to your days at Montevallo, because you guys played great baseball, the Falcons were always in the hunt for state title and national title, that kind of thing. But everybody has a Coach Reisner story. Tell us yours. And I know there's more than one.
Well, yes, there's a bunch. He's the kind of guy you would love to hate, he's mean, ornery, whatever, but he's not in very good health right now, but I stay in contact. I talk to him probably at least once a week now. I really think that he is the man that made me the little bit of a man that I am now. Now, did he handle it different ways than what I do and use different kind of language and stuff? Yes, but I guess my story would be, we decided we'd miss curfew one night. He never checked curfew. He really didn't care. He said, you want to act like a man, I'll treat you like a man. He never checked or whatever, but for some reason, and it was actually Bevill State that we were playing in a fall game. We used to play triple headers, and just half of Walker County was there, and I was excited to get to play in front of a lot of people. And then we come back in one night from places we probably shouldn't have been, but there's a note on the bulletin board and said, all you party animals meet me on the field at 5 a.m. and bring your mattress. So at 5 a.m. we ran foul pose carrying our twin bed mattress until 6:30. And then we had to be at breakfast at 6:30. We all ate together at 6:30. That's why it was his way of making sure you went to class during the day. After we got through with that, the first game started at 10. So he told us just go straight back to the field. So we had to get the field ready. We did all the maintenance and all that. So I know you've seen spring training baseball where pitchers and stuff run foul posts during the game, like even on the inside of the fence.
Right.
Well, we did that for 3 games. For 3 games, we ran foul posts inside the fence. And everybody, like I said, everybody from Walker County was there and was looking forward to playing in front of the home people and all that. And I guess my fondest memory of that is after the game, my dad walks up, because we could not talk to our parents until the last game was over. Not even between games, we couldn't talk to our parents. And my dad walks up and he shakes my hand and he says, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good." He says, "Can I see Coach Reasoner for a minute?" I said, "Sure, Dad," because and it's not like a lot of parents today. I knew it wasn't going to be nothing stupid.
Right, sure.
Coach Reasoner walks out and he says, "How you doing, Mr. Connor?" He said, "I'm doing good." He said, "How you doing, Coach Reasoner?" He said, "I'm doing good, Mr. Connor." He says, my dad, all he looked at him, he shook his hand and said, "I appreciate you making a man out of my boy."
How about that?
Never asked me when I got home what happened, but he knew I had done something I shouldn't have done, and I was paying the price for it.
Sure.
And they stayed and watched all 3 games.
How about that?
So,
Different day.
different day.
But he had trust in the coach.
He did. And then, you know, that's why Coach Reasoner was. After that, it's over.
Sure.
Like, it was nothing he held against you, and he really laughed about it. He thought it was funny because it was a foul game. If it had been a real game, we'd have been playing because 3 of the 4 of us were starters. So,
Sure. Well, I don't remember. I might have been there that day. I don't. What fall was that? Do you remember the year?
I can't remember if it was 82 or 84, or 82 or 83. I know Richard Muncher and people like that was playing at Bevill.
Yeah, I was there. So
Okay.
I don't remember you guys running that day, but I was
Yeah.
there that day because I was on the inaugural teams at Brewer then,
Yeah.
Bevill now. So we played you guys that fall of 82 and 83.
Yeah.
So,
It was one of those 2 years. So,
yeah. Well, somehow or another I blocked that out because it didn't affect me, for whatever that's worth. So you went on from there, and after a short stint working in the world, got a chance to coach basketball at Corner, and were there for 33 years. Talk about those years at Corner, what that meant to you, means to you. I know what it means to the community to have had you there for that long. You're an institution in that part of the world. So talk about that and maybe a highlight or 2 from your time at Corner.
I was staying at the same place for that long was unheard of these days.
It is.
First thing is I was hired as the baseball coach. I actually did my student teaching from Montevallo. My teacher said, "You can do it anywhere in Jefferson County." So I figured Corner is as close to my home as I can get and not have a long way to drive.
Right.
But, you know, she had a long way to drive, so, but she said it was okay, and she really never came out and checked on me. But I was told there when I was doing my student teaching, the baseball coach he was getting out of coaching and going to be the counselor at Pinson Valley, so I was told if I helped him with baseball, that they would give me the baseball job. So that's kind of how it started, and then I helped with football, which, you know, back in those days, if you didn't coach football, you really didn't get a job.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was no just hiring just a basketball coach or a baseball coach. But I'm fairly young at that time, and I'm playing in the gym with the kids, and I'm the baseball coach. About October, the basketball coach resigns. Principal's the old military guy, Charles Burkett. I mean, another hard-nosed guy. He comes in the gym and he grabs me and he says, "Hey," he says, "what do you think about coaching basketball?" I said, "I don't know anything about coaching basketball. I mean, I've played it in high school, but I'm really a baseball guy."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "What makes you think I'm qualified?" He said, "Well, I've seen you play." So when I interviewed for the Bevill job, I told him, I said, "This is the first interview I've ever been in. Like, I've never had an interview."
Right.
Like, I'd never had an interview for high school because once I took over the basketball, I did baseball and basketball both for about 9 years. And then there's really too much. They intertwine way too much. So, sort of like a lot of kids, I was probably a better baseball player. But basketball was my passion.
Right.
So I started out, and I had the Coach Reasoner mentality. First day I was at corner, and we'd already met with the kids and told them that when it's going to be my way, whatever. So the first day of practice, I'd already talked to them about the schedules posted, and we'll do this and we'll do that. I blow the whistle. That means it's time to start practice. That means if you've just shot one or you're in a drill or whatever, run, get the ball, don't let it bounce a whole lot of times, put it on the rack, and we're going to get started. Because I'm pretty well organized and like to do things on the schedule
Sure.
or whatever. So this kid, 6'6" kid, bounces it about 4 times after the whistle, dunks it, and by the time he comes down, I'm right under him, like I'm right in his face or close to his face as I can get. And I'm sharing some thoughts with him, and I'd already said, this is a Coach Reasoner thing, is when I say, if I tell you to lick the dirt, lick the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then after we get through, you can come in my office. And you can call me whatever you want to call me, behind closed doors, man to man.
Mm-hmm.
I'll treat you like him. That's the way Coach Reasoner was.
Mm-hmm.
But out here, I'm the boss, and we're going to do it my way. So he said something, and it wasn't but a few seconds, and we had kicked a player off the team. Day one. This little guy runs up to me, not little guy, about 5'10", 5'11", guard, runs up to me and says, "Coach, you can't do that. He's our best post player." And I said, "Well, you take your stuff and you go with him." So everybody's sitting there like, wow. What's the best 2 players on the team? Best guard and best post player. Ended up not putting them back on the team. And I'm going to say we struggled. We were like 9 and 19 or whatever that first year. But then after that, I think the next year we won 19 games. And then after that, I think we won, 17 or 18 years. We had 20-plus win seasons or whatever. But if I had to go back and do it over again, I got more God in me now than I had then.
Right.
I'm not saying I was anti-God at that time, but I'm a lot better Christian guy now than I was at that time. I probably wouldn't have handled it that way.
Right.
But I think in a good way, it let all these other kids know that this is the way it's going to be.
Sure.
We're going, we're going to do it his way, or we're not going to do it this way. Now, all my former players, the early 90 guys, have a Facebook page. I think it's called Corner Basketball, my players or something, and they all get on there and tell stories about me like they did, like we do about Coach Reasoner.
Sure.
But they say I've mellowed out a whole bunch in my older
They probably
age.
come, over these last few years, have probably come and watched your teams play and complain about, well, if that back in our day, that would have never
happened.
Yeah, that Coach Connor's gone soft, because that never would.
Yeah, they tell me they tell me I got soft. But it got to where at corner, probably for the last 15 years, most of the kids call me Pop. And the parents would say, "Don't you take it as disrespectful?" And I said, "No, I really take it as respect." I've never demanded a kid to tell me yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always tell them yes or no is fine, just not or what.
Right.
But yes or no is fine with me. But once kids know that you respect them and they respect you, and I cannot say anything negative about the kids at corner. I said it was the best 33 years of my life. Growing up 6 or 8 miles from there, from corner, at Dora,
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't know where corner was at. I know when I was at Dora, we'd get on a bus and we'd ride up there and play them, but
Right.
I didn't even really know because, back in my day, everybody didn't have cars. You didn't travel around
Right.
like you do now. So,
Sure.
But corner will always be home, and I still have the utmost respect for the people at corner. And for the most part, after 33 years, I guess I'm pretty well liked in that community because it's hard to stay at that place for, that long period of time.
You don't stay there unless you've gotten the respect of the community, and you certainly garnered that across the years, and that will always be part of that. And it's a wonderful thing when your name can be mentioned and people have good things to say because of the investment you made in their sons and in, by extension, the larger community because of, obviously, I'm sure as long as you were there, you coached sons of players that you coached previously, so you're a multi-generational coach in that regard. because I know that happened for me before I finished up at Jasper. And that's a real pleasure to be able to do that, you know, to have a multi-generational effect on a community.
Yeah, I mean, I had a dad, well, his son was a freshman this past year, and which he's not the first, but his son can shoot it pretty good. And this other guy was a really good point guard for me, but he didn't shoot it real well. He could guard and defend and do that, but he was really good. He said, well, you would have took me out of the game if I'd have missed 4 threes in a row. And he said, you're telling my son just keep shooting it. I said, well, he can shoot, you couldn't. So it's never will hope anything but the best for Corner. It was kind of bittersweet.
Sure.
I will miss it, but, you know, also looking forward to the job at Bevill State. And the kids at Bevill State have been phenomenal.
Well, I was going to say, your success at Corner, over 600 wins, and you probably know the exact number.
I know it was 613 going into last year, and we won 28 last year, so whatever that adds up to.
Yeah, my math skills are not that good on the
mine
spot,
either.
but over 600 wins. Yeah. And so now that's giving you this opportunity to sort of talk about your vision for that, your dream for Bevill State basketball has been on kind of an uneven keel over the last few years because no one in particular has stayed more than a couple of seasons. And so back in our day, in the heyday of Walker College basketball, that was the thing to do
Coach
in
Clem,
Walker County
yeah.
because of Coach Clem's success and of his stature in the community. So somebody who knows about that, who's a part of the community, who's had longevity somewhere else, you're coming into this. So talk about that maybe in relation to what your vision is moving forward for the program and for the city of Jasper and Walker County.
Well, everything has been really positive. And, you know, just talking about having more God in me now than I did then. When Dr. Haygood and, you know, like I said, Chris, they've been phenomenal. And everybody else, I mean, when I have ladies come into the gym that I don't know, I still don't know everybody's name. Just come by to see who the new coach is. And I've tried to go by and meet everybody, but, you know, still some of them I don't know them by their name. Everything has been just really positive. I don't know, you know, what happened before I got there or anything happened or whatever, but Dr. Haygood just wants, you know, everything to clean up and have some kind of discipline, you know, some kind of rhyme or reason to what's going on. And,
sure.
I mean, anybody that knows me knows I'm the most competitive man in America. My wife even told me, and I told him I would not take the job. Dr. Haygood kept saying, Chris, we need an answer. And I told him, I said, well, I can't give you an answer till God gives me an answer. And if you want to hire somebody else, there's nothing I can do with that because God hadn't released me.
Sure.
I'm retired, but he hadn't told me this is where he wanted me to be. But finally, when, you know, we got together and decided this is what was going to happen, you know, like I told Chris, I said, you know, we're going to be all in. And I don't want anybody on our team. I don't mean players. I'm talking about on our team as people that are supporting or, you know, we're starting the Blue Tie Club back. And I don't want anybody involved in it if they're not all in. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be a Billy Connor fan. All we're trying to do is, like you said, in our day, when you had to get there at 5 o'clock if you was planning on getting a seat in the gym, that's what we're trying to bring back.
Right.
And we want community support. I've had a lot of people that either played at Walker College or that went to Walker College that now own businesses and stuff in the Jasper area that have just outreach to me and just let us know what we can do to help. And I mean, everybody in the community, people walk out there all the time. I don't know if you've ever been out there in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. People walk in and, you know, we introduce ourselves to them, and we're just trying to make it the best it can be.
Sure.
How long I'm going to stay, I don't know, but I'm enjoying it. My wife, when I told her, you know, they say when you retire, you know it's time to retire. Mm-hmm. And I had got to that point.
Sure.
Did not hate it, never minded 33 years a day to get up and go into work. But I told her it was time. She said, well, you can retire, but you don't have basketball out of your system. I said, well, we're just going to try and see what happens. So actually, the first time that Chris had talked to me about it, I wasn't real interested. I mean, I wasn't not interested. It was, everybody's desire, or a lot of people's desire, is to be a head coach and to be a head college coach. And that might have been at 25 or 26 or, even late 20s, that might have been a thing. But at my age now, it's like I told Dr. Haygood, being a college coach, it's not something I'm just striving to be.
That's right, yeah.
If I do it, I want to do it the right way and do the best I can do. I just want to be somewhere that I feel like God has put me to. I'm not going to really say minister as much as to be a witness to some different people. And we've already had some effects of that with some of the kids we have now. And, for 33 years at Corner, I fed my basketball players every Thursday night at my house. And actually it started out being just the varsity guys. And then it became the varsity and the JV. And then it became the ninth grade. Then it became... And probably the last 10 years I was at Corner, it became just about any kid in Corner who just wanted somewhere to go on Thursday night. Like we had, Thursday night, during football season. That's the reason we did it, because basketball season we didn't do it. But, college football games on. We had the Wii and the Nintendo and Xboxes hooked up in 2 or 3 different rooms in the house, and the football game on, and we had food. And like I said, kids come in, and it ended up being went from being like 12 or 13 to like 60 or 70. And, for the most part, the kids all, acted well. And I told these kids I showed them where I lived. We went to a junior college showcase a few weeks ago at the Finley Center in Birmingham, and was real pleased with what we saw. But I showed them where we lived because we went that way. And the only reason I showed them is I plan on having them over there, so I want them to know how to get there. So I'm a family person, and my wife is like Mama Bear, like they call her Mama Bear now since we're the Bevill Bears.
Right.
She's like, we treat the kids just like our kids, and we've got some kids that need loved.
Sure.
And looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, let's end with this then, and you've kind of hinted at it already. Personal life, married, got a daughter, grandchildren.
Married for 33 years, got married right when I started teaching. Got a 25-year-old daughter that gave me my 2 identical twin grandbabies. Luckily, God blessed me with a fabulous son-in-law, a God-fearing Christian young man. I couldn't have handpicked a better son-in-law than what God gave me. And as a parent, that's what you hope for.
Absolutely. Man of faith, obviously.
I am, and my daughter is a nurse. She started off working in the NICU at Children's with the little babies, which they say is not a job, it's a calling.
Sure.
And then now she went to work at the oncology center, so that's another calling.
I get to see her, so I know that is because I go to the Bruno Center for my treatments, and I've gotten to know Sydney, in that process, and she's a wonderful young lady. And I tell the nurses there, I said, this has to be a calling because they see a lot of people every day in distress, but what they're doing is helping us to heal, as much as we are able through medicine, and then of course God's part of that as well, through prayer and faith. But they're an active part of that, and it's an incredible blessing.
It is, and a very good friend of mine, Sydney, was his nurse, and he had asked for her every time he went in there. And I didn't know it. Like, I really didn't know where he was getting his treatments and stuff at. So I saw him one day after he finally was cancer-free, and he says, your daughter is an angel. She said, she prays with me, she does, and I'm like, I didn't even know. And I asked my daughter about it. She said, well, we can't discuss it.
Sure.
We can't discuss who our patients are.
Sure.
So but blessed in that point.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful wife. Never, special women are coaches' wives.
Absolutely.
Especially if you put a lot of time into it. And, for a long time, I coached 3 sports. Like, I was never at home, but she was always right there at every function that we had, and was a big supporter. And sometimes her and Sydney are good assistant coaches after the game, and sometimes they're really good critics of telling you everything that you probably did wrong.
Sure.
But
sure.
that's just part of
it. All goes with it, right?
Why did you put him in, or why didn't you put him in? Why did you take him out? But,
right. Well, it's certainly true that there's no successful coach without a wife that is 100% supportive. You got to have that if you're going to have success long term. So that speaks for itself. Your success in that regard speaks highly of your wife and of Sydney and their support for you, and the blessing of having a son-in-law that's a believer and loves your daughter like you do, because I'm sure as a dad you're thinking, I sure want somebody that loves her as much as me, and you think, I don't know how that would be possible.
That would be hard, but
right.
Yes, he does, and a fabulous father to my grandbabies. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Well, Coach, everybody is signing the lead poster behind you, so if you'll take the marker and do that as well, give us the honor of putting your name up there and joining the Wall of Fame so far.
Well, that's going to be very nice.
Well, everyone, it's been our honor today to have a coaching legend in Walker and Jefferson County, surrounding counties, Birmingham area, and now will join the ranks of Walker College Bevill State coaches, and hopefully be able to bring back a little bit of that mystique that was here during Coach Clem's years. So, Coach Connor, we wish you the best with that, and you can count on our support, that's for sure. So this is Greg Tinker for The Lead saying good afternoon.
The Lead, sponsored by Hospital Discount Pharmacy, Lavish Boutique, Lavish Coffee, Jasper Veterinary Clinic, Jasper Bone and Joint, and Carl Cannon Chevrolet Buick GMC.